I can't believe they done it. They buffed this build. Before that, it was already good, but now it will be insane if my calculation is correct. What's up guys, Pidget here. Curse River bosses in the new league mechanic. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yes, it's winter time brand time. This is my favorite build of all time, and it got a huge buff with the Curse River. Really satisfying to play this build. Last free league I started with this, and it was really smooth and easy to reach high tier maps on the first day of the league. And the best thing about this build, you can play this from the start. Okay, you need reach level 12, but then you can start destroying the game. The skill itself is really simple. You just casting your brand and it will start deal overtime damage. And if a target dies while your brand is still active, it will jump to another enemy. This is like Ascendancy plus contagion, but with one button. Why I am saying this build is good for the upcoming Forbidden Sanctum League, in the stream they showed us the zone you were fighting monsters, bosses, and there was so many pillars, bookshelves, walls where you can hide from the monsters and let the Winter Tyrant do his work. Kill everything while you hiding from the damage. It's important to do this because you will lose your new health bar if you get a hit. With this you can cheese a little extra kills on your runs. Of course, the gameplay will not only be inside the Sanctum, you still have mobs and other side activities. This build has really good defensive layers. If you die, you can't deal damage, right? Using Grace Aura for evasion rating, so we almost can die from the monster's basic attacks or project. Because we using Grace, we can use Ghost Dance Keystone. When we take a hit, we will recover 3% of our evasion rating as energy shield. We can do this 3 times in a row before the stacks recharge. To benefit from this even more, we will use energy shield and evasion base types and a crystal belt with energy shield mod on them. Chill and freeze immune thanks to our Ascendancy. I really like to not rely on the flask uptime with chill and freeze immunity. My favorite is we have stun immunity because the Ascendancy has inbuilt immunity if you have energy shield, which we will always have. Now we almost can be touched by physical attacks. Only danger left for us is the spell damage, but we have a solution for this. Using spell suppression on gear, which is preventing half of the spell damage when we taking spell damage. In 3.19 they nerfed the spell suppression chance on gear, so we will counter this by allocating a few spell suppression node on the tree and we good to go. We also take 10% less damage from the enemies with curse on them, because the curses is one of the main damage multiplier for this build. Our enemies will be always cursed. Really high chill effect which slow down our enemies by 30%. Even the Awakener or any endgame boss will move like a snail, so you can react in time for the upcoming ability. On the offensive side, I already told you, we got huge buffs, but I want to put in perspective. On the left, you see what damage we achieved last league and what we will deal in the new league. I think the numbers speak for itself, but let me tell you, I did not change any gear, just only the numbers on the curse, so overall looking good. But of course, please keep in mind, maybe I'm wrong with the math side. We will see if the POB gets updated with the new numbers. This is a damage over time build, so you will not insta-face bosses, but it's really satisfying to see the boss health going down. Important side note here, you need enough cost speed to reach 20 stacks with your brand. You can look your brand activation per brand stats under the POB, and this number needs to be at least 20. Above this will not give you significant damage increase, so don't invest too much for this, but also don't worry about it if you get more than this. Because we taking on the tree the extra curse node, we can use free curses to boost our damage, namely Frostbite, Elemental Weakness and Punishment. If you not use Punishment curse before, this will only starts working when the boss below 50% health, and the boss will take increased damage. All of these curses we applying with one single button, and we using Arcanist brand for this. Using a secondary source of damage on left click, Vortex, we applying chill with this, and it's linked with Bone Chill support for even more cold damage increase. My first plan was using Frostbomb for the cold exposure on hit, but instead of this I'm using a Gloves implicit for the exposure, so we don't have to press more button on both fights and we didn't have to deal with the delayed Frostbomb. Of course, till we get the implicit we need to use the Frost Bomb sadly. I link Cooling Strike support to my Flame Dash so I can execute the bosses from 10% health, which is really good and helping if you're fighting one of the Uber bosses. First of all, I would like if you hit the like button like the Shaper hitting the Elder so it can start spread to more people. Thank you! Because it's league start, we can't have big items in the first day of the league. That's why we have very basic items in the list here. Use this list as a template. If you want more, you can take a look on the endgame POE. Only one item worth to mention, not needed but is good to have. Rhymegate's unique helmet. This is a very cheap in the first day of the league and it gives us a huge damage boost and a little survivability. You can get this item 1 or 2 chaos in the first day of the league easily. The rest of the gear is rare with life, resistance and attributes. Oimon Vents, damage over time multiplier, cold damage over time multiplier, spell damage and +1 to all cold spell skill gems. Later, when you have the currency or the resource to make items, you have to aim the following implicits. On your helmet, increase mana reservation efficiency of skills, and while there is a unique enemy in your presence, your first bite curse effect is increased. On your body armor, Gear Race has increased aura effect and increased aura effect if there is a unique enemy in your presence. On your gloves, cold exposure on hit and cold damage over time multiplier. On your boots, only one is really important, the drop Scorch Ground while moving. Or starting passive tree looks like this. Few tips for the early levels. You need immediately rush towards Runebinder and take the Runesmith Keystone, and you almost set for the rest of the acts. After that, my golden rule is the following. If you feel you need more damage, you can take damage nodes. If you struggle with the survival, you can take life nodes. Simple as that. Really important note here, because the devs moved the Malediction Keystone from the Occultist to the tree, we need to take that. Later on, you can change your passive tree to the endgame version that you can find inside the endgame POE. We're taking Occultist Est or Ascendancy because this is the only Ascendancy in the game that synergizes really well with the Wintertide brand. The notables in order are the following. In your first lab, you take Void Beacon, really good node for the early leveling process. It will increase our damage, and since in 3.18 most of the enemy monsters have high life regen, with this node we completely nullify their regen. Second lab, we take Frigid Wake. This is what I'm really like in the Ascendancy. You will be freeze and chill immune, so we don't have to rely on the flask uptime, also giving us more cold damage, and we take less damage from the chilled enemies. On your third lab, you take Vibration. This is my favorite about the Ascendancy. You will stun immune if you have energy shield, which you always have. Now, the last lab. This is a head scratcher because they removed the malediction from the occultist and moved to the tree. Right now, I think we can take malediction. This node be renamed, so keep this in mind. Gem and gem links, starting with the main link in our body armor, Wintertide brand, Control Destruction, Inspiration, Elemental Focus, Hypothermia, and Efficacy. Moving towards, in our helmet, Vortex with Bone Chill, Control Destruction, and Swift Application. Our auras in the following, in our boots, Frost Bomb, till we get Cold Exposure on hit, Glows Implicit, Malevolence, Grace, and Clarity. Our curse setup, Frostbite, Elemental Weakness, Punishment, Arcanist Brand. We are applying all these 3 curses with Arcanist Brand. Defensive setup, Immortal Call and cast 1 damage take. Our move and skill setup, Flame Dash, Faster Casting, Arcane Surge, and Calling Strike support. I hope you enjoyed this video about Wintertide brand Occultist. If you have any question, please let me know under the video. I wish you a wonderful league start, guys. Thanks for watching. I was Puget, and see you next time.